Morning, guys. Saturday morning. We're back on this Chrysler minivan here, so if you saw yesterday's video, you know what I'm talking about. Here we go. Alright, we got some guide coat on that. We're ready to block this out. I've got some, let's flip this so we can read it. 400 wet or dry sandpaper in the bucket of warm water, because I like warm water, it's cold out. And then we got some 600, and we're going to let that soak. Shove that down in the bucket. I do have some other paper in here, so I will start blocking with that. That piece of 600 is garbage. We'll get you guys on the stand and we'll get her going here. And one thing we want to keep in mind here, let's zoomy zoom. We do have a body line right here. So this bottom edge of the wheel arch is flat, and then this is a curve a little bit higher up with a line in it. We don't want to roll the sandpaper down over that line and make it flat. We're going to come up to that. And one thing you can do to make sure you don't screw that up is take some tape, follow that line so that you're not breaking down way over it. Because after we get both areas blocked flat, we'll go back and inspect that line and tweak it if we need to. And that line kind of fades away here on the left. I don't know if this tape will even want to stick this morning. We're going to wait 1 second. We're going to scuff that up so I can sort of see where it is. And then we're going to mark it off. Just to kind of give you guys an idea. Sometimes I can mark it first. That one's pretty doggone rounded. So, got our bucket full of clean water. And I'm going to use, I don't know if this will come into the camera, but this is a Motor Guard soft block. Gray side is a little softer than the black side. I'm going to use the black side first. This piece of paper was cut for something else, so it's not quite the right shape, but we're going to wrap it around the block. A lot of guys dry sand these. I don't like dry sanding. I don't like the dust. And this van's got to go outside anyway to get washed off one last time and have this panel scuffed. So despite my best efforts to soft edge this, the two ends, well, at least that end, got a little bit of a hard edge on it. But that primer is a pretty high build primer. What I run into with it, that broke that edge down pretty quick. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but despite my best efforts, I got too close to that edge more than once. This piece of 400 is kind of whipped, so it's not going to cut real well, but we're going to start off with it anyway. You know, I didn't show you guys all the Bondo work yesterday, and I guess I take it for granted that I've done it a lot of times and you guys have seen it, but some people like that kind, so I had a comment about that, so I'll try and do that from now on. And for now, we're going to block this bottom edge straight to try and see where it meets up with the rest of the work here. And I'm already seeing something I don't like, and after I primed it last night, I sort of felt it. And I think it's going to piss me off here if it doesn't block out. But there's a little dark spot right here, and I did run my hand over that. And I slightly feel it. I may have to reprime to get rid of it. But luckily for us, we got a 45-minute quick primer here, and I can put the infrared heat lamp on it because I have one. Not everybody has that, so, and of course we always want to get this as close as we can in the body work. You don't really want to make up your make it up as you go with primer, but sometimes, you know, you miss something, have to redo it. I'm by no means an expert, so I definitely say I'm good at this, but I'm not the best out there, and I already broke through it and I see some bare metal, so that sucks. We'll have to hit that with some etch, and then we're going to seal this up anyway, and I'll probably put the infrared on the sealer after I get that where I like it. Other problem I was having yesterday, the gun wasn't spraying the primer right, and realized there was a chunk of crap in it, so I may not have the build on here that I think I do, but we'll find all that out here once I block it out and see where I'm at. Bumper cover's in my way too. I need to wedge something in there to keep that out of my way, so let's find something to stick in there. Maybe I'll just have to deal with it. I don't know. I don't see anything that's going to work too well for that, so we're going to go ahead and keep on rolling with this. I think I mentioned in last night's video that, you know, despite what little damage appeared to be there, there was a lot more. And, you know, that's rookie mistake on my part, but guys doing this for the first time, you'll make those mistakes. I did, you know. Sometimes it's best to just keep working that filler and maybe make that repair area a little bigger than you think it needs to be. So for me, it's easier to make a whole area covered in filler and block it straight than it is for me to guesstimate a small area when there's multiple areas of damage in it. But that piece of 400 is about spanked. Let's see if one of my new pieces is ready for use yet. So I hope you guys are ready to get her done today. We're going to get this one hopefully completely done today. This should be an in and out kind of job, so I shouldn't get married to it. Sometimes the smaller jobs are the ones that I end up kind of spending too much time on. But we're getting there. Buddy Andy stopped by last night and brought me a new rolly chair. I don't know if this was supposed to have a backrest on it, but it's got 2 armrests on it. I guess it would have at one point in time. But we're going to scope this bad boy out. We may take the armrests, cut the armrests off of it, and have a new chair. It has gas shock on it, goes up and down. Old office chairs definitely work nice for this kind of stuff, because you can roll around and get your work done. You'll find when you start doing this kind of work that it's nice to be able to sit down and be at eye level with what you're doing. It's hard on your knees to be getting down on the floor and trying to kneel so you're at that level, you know? At least it is for me. I'm only 37, but you know, if this is any indicator of how things are going to be, I want to make sure that I'm comfortable. I think we might be repriming this. Maybe. This little spot here is giving me a headache. It's not blocking out just right. And the original damage was back here, and I had a little gouge that ran in through here, but I didn't realize that this was pushed in as much as it was. It wasn't enough to pull on, and the more I worked my filler, the more I found myself coming from right to left, coming this way to get rid of that. And evidently I didn't get rid of it. I don't know how close I am, but if I have to block down and get close to primer to get rid of it, I'll reprime it and go for it. It may have been just enough area that that it's going to give me a hassle. Another thing you can do, I mean, I'm kind of going at an angle and cutting this, but you can run side to side, but all your sand scratchers will end up going the same way, and you'll cut flatter if you kind of give it a little bit of an angle. I mean, it may not look like much, but this is a small area, so it'll be minimal for sure. Well, I don't know. Let's take a feel of that. I don't know, I might get lucky. That might come out. It might have been just enough. I'm already breaking through a couple spots, and we don't want that. Yep, in order to cut that flat, I've already cut something else low. Not low, but we already broke through right here, and I've got a feather edge that's exposed, and that spot's almost gone. It feels good though. One thing that was recommended to me, and I never really thought about it before, when you're going to check something for highs and lows and see how it feels, run your hand over it, not fast, but you know, kind of like this. Close your eyes. You can feel things more than you'd ever imagine if your eyes are closed. A lot of people find that hard to believe, and I was kind of like, yeah, I'll give it a shot, you know. And it helps me for sure. One thing I'm going to make sure this line up here is, I bring it a little bit farther down so that, two reasons, so that I'm away from that change of direction in the panel, and that we're back into just some sanded clear so that I have more blend area. It's not going to be much, you know, it'll give you an extra inch, but long and short of that is every little bit helps when you're trying to do a panel blend, and that's what I want to do. And we're going to do a spray out card and check that color match. I did wipe some on the panel, but you can't get an exact feel until something's got some clear on it. You can get an idea if it's going to be close or not. And I think this is going to be close, but I don't think we got a dead match. Unless you have the ability to tint your own paint and have the eye for it, and you've got experience in color matching, you're not going to get them on the first shot. So we're looking a little bit better here. I don't know, we may have a feel of this before we decide to reprime it. I may roll with it and seal it. And I had another comment a while back, kind of to reduce orange peel in your finished product, sand your sealer. And I've done that before. In fact, I did it on the Duramax door bottoms because I had a little bit of a run in it. It was really cold and I was out of fuel for the shop. I got a little sagger in it, so I've done that, and I may do that with this, you know, instead of repriming to cover up any breakthroughs. That's a good way to do it, is to seal it up, as long as your transitions for your edges are nice and smooth. You know, that feels pretty good, but I want to get all of this out of that top area. Then after feeling with that other primer that's underneath all this, or sealer, I guess, this vehicle's never been repaired before. Unless something happened on the car lot when it was brand spanking new and they had to do a little something to it. But, you know, that kind of stuff happens in the wintertime. I think I was talking on Mumble last weekend, and I remember Rich at Sodajet 883 talking about their snowplow guy came through the parking lot and wiped out a whole shitload of cars with that heavy snow that they got out. I think he's in Massachusetts. So, you know, stuff like that does happen, but I didn't find any what I would call sin under here at all. So I'm fairly confident this has not been repaired. Ever. We're getting close here. One thing to remember in these body lines when you're sanding, even though this is wet sanding and 400 grit, factory clear is not super thick, so you don't want to sand for a lot of time in any one area, especially in that body line, because you do run the risk of breaking through it. And you can see where maybe you can, maybe you can't. I had some sand scratches up here, and the primer did fill those. So I've got light gray scratch marks in it up there, but those are filled. So Usually I like to go beyond that and hold it down with the blanket of primer, but I think those will be okay. So we got a good probably hour of trying to get this shop up to the temperature I want it. I already hit bare metal down there pretty good. The other thing that sucks about these, you know, the newer and thinner the metals get, the wavier they are. I've found that doesn't necessarily mean every car and every manufacturer is that way, but even if you don't have a big damage area and you prime a wide area to cover it, and you start blocking it out, you're going to find highs and lows. Case in point, this whole flat spot on the wheel arch actually has a little concaveness to it. It's not perfectly flat all the way around. You know, that'll be something that is kind of a dead giveaway for anybody that comes across this in the future, because when I get done with it, it's going to be flat, more flat than it was. And it's not like you have anything to compare it to, but anytime you work on something like this, you're going to notice it. I had a lot of trouble getting my filler to feather out in this area because of that. Okay, I've got that blocked out. That little goofy spot that I didn't like. And sorry guys, this is getting long. Maybe I can think of a story to tell while I'm doing this, who knows. I don't really have much to talk about. There isn't anything really done, but I'll find something. Alright, so we'll take a look at this and see where I think I'm at here. Kind of going over this bottom edge to get that primer rounded over. I got a little spot here that needs feathered in, but I got one of these little 3M sanding sponges. Norton makes them. Every manufacturer, I think, makes something like this. This is just what I have on hand. It's not that I'm a slave to 3M by any means, but they make good stuff, you know. And this is, let's see, this one is just fine. So this is like a 320 type. But it's pretty wore out. And this is kind of one method I use to get a body line rounded over is I'll just sand over it lightly with that sponge. So we'll give you guys a look-see at that, and then I'm going to cut this off and I'll bring you back when I'm doing something new. So we're probably at 20 minutes. Yep, we're at 25 minutes, so this is going to be a whole video of its own. So that's, hopefully the camera will focus for us here. The lens is clean. Well, this is kind of what you want. You want it real fuzzy up in here. all your transitions, but of course I hit some bare steel down here, so that'll have to be addressed. I'm going to take a white ball and dry that off real quick and show you what that line looks like. Except I don't have a good white. Oh, here's a good white ball. Alright, so there's kind of an idea. I don't know if we can, yeah, we can see that body line, so right there. That looks pretty doggone good. I'm not embarrassed to say I got that pretty close. So I'm going to cut you guys loose for now, and I'm going to make an executive decision whether I'm repriming this or not. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I decided to reprime it. I'm putting 2 coats on. I've already got 1 on there. That primer is not liking whatever's under it right there. Usually 2K primer don't do that, so we'll see what happens. Those are probably sand throughs, and it may relax back down, but I'm going to let this flash about 10 minutes, and that flat spot I was worried about looks like it's gone, so we'll find out when we block it. But first coat came almost all the way up to my back masking, and the second coat's going to be focused everything from the bottom lip up to about 1 inch off of that. So just 2 coats, we'll let it flash, and then we'll put the infrared light on it. This isn't aimed toward it right now, it's just sort of sitting off to the side, but I just left it plugged in because it's kind of cold in here and it was keeping me warm. So, and I wanted to warm that steel up a little bit before I put another coat on it. So sorry for the background noise, but I got to get the heat cranking if I'm going to be painting by lunchtime here. So, all right, we'll see you in a little bit. All right, guys, it's lunchtime here. Primer has all been blocked down to 600, and I'm taking a gray Scotch pad, and this is Presta scuff stuff. This is for your blending area and all that, and the scuff for paint adhesion. Stuff's pretty thick. It's basically like a soap with grit in it. And you just use your scuff pad to scuff up your areas, because we are re-clear coating this whole panel. So we want to make sure we get into our edges real good. I'm not going to use the scuff stuff down in all my edges, because I don't want to have to get all that goop out of there. I'll go back with a dry Scotch-Brite and do that. Got the edge of my glass with a piece of tape over it, and my trim with a piece of tape over it, just so I don't hit it with the Scotch pad, along with the adjoining door. The bumper's far enough away, I'm not worried about it. I'm not really that careless, so to speak, but accidents do happen, so just kind of doing all that as a precautionary type deal. It's just kind of my method, it's what I always do. There's like a rain gutter in the top here, and we're going to soft edge that. So we got to scuff up to it. But after we wash this thing down, we will have to take a blowgun to all the cracks real good, because there'll be water everywhere, and chase all the water out of it. Then I'll take a dry Scotch pad and go inside the inner lip of my jam, and around the bottom edge here, inside the tail light house or opening, and toward the jam of the back of the lift gate, or the, not lift gate, but the you know, the back gate. I see a lot of guys who do this like pretty super quick and don't mask anything, you know, in the shops, and those guys do this every day. I just like to be overly cautious with this stuff, so I'm not working in the best conditions here, so lighting isn't 100%, and you know, It only takes one slip to run a piece of Scotch-Brite over another panel that you're not painting, which you can always buff off. A wet Scotch-Brite doesn't leave much of a scratch, but you know, why not avoid the problem altogether? So this is it. You can use Ajax or Comet to do the same job. I just happen to have the scuff gel, and it's got soap in it. I'll wipe this down with wax and grease remover one last time before I go after it and start blending and painting. The nice thing these are good for is one last go around your feather edge there. It'll blend it real nice. I mean, your 600 will do that also, but just in case you didn't get it as perfect as you could have got it, you can always get it with this scuff gel. And we're going to break our transition off at this bottom cladding. We're not taking it off. We're going to scuff down behind it and mask it off. We're not taking the door track out. But other than that, everything else will be 100% on this job. Those are the only things we won't be doing. Scuffed under our wheel opening real good. I've already been through here twice, but I'll go through this one last time here. And that's pretty much it. I'll take a wet sponge and wipe some of this off, and then hit it with a dry towel so you can see kind of what we're looking for here. As far as kind of what you want this to look like. The whole panel should be uniformly dull. If it's not, touch it up. Make sure that it is, because your paint or your clear will not stick to that. Basecoat kind of likes a 320 to 600 scratch, but we're going to put some intercoat clear on this for blending purposes because this is a heavy metallic. So I'm going to dry a section off here. I got to put this Scotch pad down. Kind of give you an idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. So all of our edges are nice and fuzzy on that primer. It's a little bit bigger area than I wanted to get into. The first thing I'm going to do after lunch here, I'm going to run home and have a sandwich, and first thing I'm going to do is do a spray out card and see what that color actually looks like with some clear on it. I really don't want to run into any problems blending it. If it's not close enough to the actual color, I don't want to panel blend it. We'll end up going into that sliding door. So we're going to start, you know, kind of just getting this far, and I wanted to give you guys kind of a look-see of what that's going to look like. Alrighty, there's 6 minutes worth of me scrubbing a panel down, but if you guys want to see it, I'll show it to you. I'll teach you anything that I know, whether it's right or wrong. Okay, so we look at that and you can see the dullness in that panel, and then you go to this panel and you see how shiny that is. You know, there's a lot of gloss on it. That hasn't been scuffed. After cleaning this up and dressing up my edges where I'm going to soft transition it, this will be ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to get this thing washed off, and we're going to hammer down. So catch you guys in a bit. Okay guys, 4 o'clock update. This thing is bagged and ready to paint. I've got the infrared lamp on that panel warming it up because I've had the heat off most of the day. And I just turned it back on, and I'm up to about, I don't know if the camera will focus all the way over here. It's about 70 in here. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a quick rundown, and I am going to fire the heat back up, but I'm using this to kind of cheat a little bit and get that panel warm. So what we're going to do, you know, we got our edges all back masked real nice. Somebody's probably going to criticize me for plastic right up to my edges, and you know, this stuff is direct spray, and it's only going to get 2 coats of Clearcoat that ever hit it. That's it. There's no primer on it. There's no nothing. This is clean plastic. It's pulled tight. I can always put a piece of tape on it like a belt and pull it back if I don't think it's tight enough. I was able to get that molding out that goes in there too. It actually just clips on. I thought it was part of that window track, but it's got these little clips in it and then a plastic one, and it kind of, you know, it sits like that. There's one screw in it there, and then the rest of it just clips on. 2 down there and 2 right here. I have a feeling that one may have slid, but maybe not. I don't see any. Oh yeah, there was one more on it, so it's somewhere around here. I wanted to get that off, and I went back and forth deciding whether I was going to try and back mask that window and leave it open or close it, and I finally said screw it, it's staying closed, it's back masked. Getting that edge in there wet is going to be all but impossible, but we're going to do the best we can so that we don't have a funky transition. But everything is back masked nice. If for some reason a little clear does touch the back of that glass, I have tape on it, and if it makes it past 2 inches of tape, God bless it, you know, I'll clean it off with a razor blade. We got some foam tape along the edge in here, but everything else except for this area, this is also foam taped. You can sort of see it in there. Those are the only 2 areas I used that's back masked. The roof is back masked. There's a trim up there, weather strip, whatever the hell you want to call it. So it's all good. Wheel opening. See, I got some blocks of wood holding this down here. Nice and tight. I decided not to use my wheel maskers. They work good for my stuff, but this is a little bit quicker way to do it, and this has to be back masked anyway. And the way you bag one like this, you back mask so you have sticky tape sticking out on all your edges that you gotta put masking paper and or plastic up to. You drape plastic over the whole vehicle, and then you go around, and I had to put some tape over this. I accidentally cut through my tape a little bit, and I wanted to pull it back tighter. But what you do is you lightly drag your razor blade on that plastic, and it cuts super easy. So you just kind of pull on the plastic as you go, and it pulls right off. Big thing about having plastic close, I'm gonna have to put a piece of tape on it here too. You don't want this loose. If the air from the gun catches it, it can pull it off. And obviously we're not spraying in a booth where it's really moving a ton of air, but you don't want the gun air to catch that and blow it around, especially if anything gets on it. You don't want it shaking around. So mask them nice and tight, and yeah, so that's where we're at with that. It's already been wiped down with wax and grease remover and glass cleaner, and that's our color there. That's Matrix Premium Base, mixed 1-to-1. It's in the Solid Jet. I went through that gun and made double sure that it's clean. We also have on the bench MPB 500 color blender. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. I probably will. And what you do after you get full coverage on your bodywork, you know, this is my main concern, this edge being close to the door. So we'll step out the color once, just beyond that bodywork, you know, maybe 4 inches, and then I'll reduce my color 100% with that color blender because it's clear, and it'll make it more transparent as we come this direction here, and it'll give a better transition. That color is almost dead nuts though, so we probably won't have a problem, but better safe than sorry. So I will I'm gonna turn the heat back on, and I'll put you guys on the stand here after it warms up, and we'll get this thing shot. So hang tight, guys. Alright guys, we're gonna get to this here. Take my tack rag, and we're gonna lightly go over this, because this is the area we're gonna be working on. Make sure there's no trash on there. Get the gun adjusted up, and we're going to go for coverage on that sealer area. Sorry about the compressor noise, but I don't have any way to turn it off without running around this place and kicking the breaker off. Okay, I think this is probably going to cover in 2 coats. So I probably got a little more paint than I needed mixed up. I mixed a pint, and I bought a pint of paint, so that'll make a quart, so 1 to 1. That covered real nice. It laid down good. You guys are watching it flash in real time, and we're going to let that go probably 10 minutes, and I'm going to go over that same area again, but go out just a little bit farther and see how that hides. I'm usually the kind of person who'll go for 3 coats just to ensure that it's right, but with the minimal amount of blend space that I have here, I think I'm only going to go for 2. We'll see what it looks like. I can still see a transparent edge out here right through the edge of my bodywork, but I think we're going to be okay. So I'm going to shut you guys down. We're at 5 minutes just for you to see that real quick, and I'll turn you back on for the next coat and then the blending, and then we may have to go to another video for clear. We'll see how long these segments are. So hope you guys are enjoying this one. We'll catch you in a minute. Alright guys, coat 2, I tacked it off. One thing I did, I've been complaining about water in my air lines. I don't think it's coming out of the wall. I think my hose was contaminated and the water wasn't coming out of it. So I switched to a shorter hose that I have, a 25 footer, which may just not condense the water out and it'll go right on the panel. About 20 psi. I've got the fan cut down a little to try and stay in this area. I don't like doing it that way, but I gotta try and stay in this spot. Really not on there very wet, but we'll give it a couple minutes, and I think I'm going to be able to manage to stay kind of away from my zone over here. So I'm going to step one more coat out, and judging from the flatness of each of them, we're real close. I did look at it pretty intently earlier just to make sure, and we're looking pretty good. I don't have any scratch marks in it. Sometimes that MP500 color blender will help fill in the scratches so the metallic doesn't do anything strange. This was sealed, and then I actually put the infrared lamp on it. There's sealer on top of my 2K primer. I put the infrared lamp on it and blocked that with 600 after about 40 minutes, which it really doesn't take that long, but it's cold in here and I wanted to make double sure that everything was the way it's supposed to be. I see just a little edge of my primer still, or my sealer. Not terrible, but it's enough. I'll probably open the fan up on this one to let it atomize it right, because I think what's happening, the metallics are piling up on that little tiny transition. For whatever reason, if I didn't get it blocked perfect. But it looks pretty good from where I'm looking at, so we'll turn you back on for coat 3. Alright, we're going to do a third and final coat. I thought I'd get it in 2, but I'm still seeing just a twinge of my edge right there. And just a tinge of it right there, but everything else looks real good.
saw me doing was trying to blend just a little bit before I reduced that color down to a lighter color. So what I was doing is I was going up and sort of bringing my gun farther away, reduce the pressure a little bit, get those metallics to lay down. They looked okay though. Definitely don't want to spray it super wet when you're doing that, or else the metallics will all swim around and congregate, and that's not good. So you can also see there's only a touch of overspray near that door. So I think we're good. So I'm going to cut you guys off, and I'll bring you back when I reduce that down to a lighter color. Alright guys, I got the heat going again. I had to put the camera back on the charger, so I went ahead and did my last coat to get coverage. And I don't see anything sticking out at me. I've got a little bit of, I think I'm still getting a touch of moisture. I got a couple little dots of crap that landed on there. That base coat will ball up if it gets water in it. So there's a couple little dots that I'm going to take some 1000 grit that's just moistened up, and I'm going to nib those off when I know that's good and flashed. But I'll show you what we're doing. I have to turn that heater back on in a minute, but basically what guy doesn't wipe his hands on his pants? Alright, what we got here is I took a little bit of my reduced leftover color, which I had way too much. I could have done with a half pint or quarter pint, but and in this cup is MPB 500 color blender reduced 1:1. And what you're going to do is you're going to reduce this leftover paint. I have, looks like almost 4 ounces in there. I'm going to reduce that 100% with this clear base to make it more see-through. So basically all you're doing is lightening that color up so we can blend a little bit farther. I found this keychain hanging in my shop. How funny is this? XX, 2X. And I put this little wire on it that came with one of my guns to clean out the little holes in the air cap. Works great. So now this is going to be more transparent because I've reduced it down that far. And I'll do this maybe just this once, but I may spray a drop coat of this on, and then I may reduce it down one more time. Looks like I have about just under 4 ounces of that left, but that's definitely a little lighter for sure. And we'll bring that coat out maybe one fan width and pull the gun away to see where we end up. So that's how you do that, and I'll show you my technique, whether it's right or wrong, indifferent, whatever. I'll show you how I do them. Alright guys, I just had a couple little chunks of shit in it down there, but I got rid of that, so base is just a touch rough down there, but otherwise not bad. It'll help me match that factory orange peel with that new gun. So you watched me reduce that down one last time. And you probably also were like, what the hell are you doing right here? Well, that's where I sanded that spot. And that base was a little too light to actually hide it, so I kept dusting more out there. You catch the right light here, and you start to see it get a little funky in here. Probably dry spray. I wasn't spraying very light, and you don't want this stuff super dry, and that probably was. So we'll take the tack rag and we'll wipe that. The tack rag will help you blend a little bit too. It's not like you're going to rub it into some magical perfect color match, but I've seen back in the old days, let's say, I watched HPR do it, and he would take the gun and pull it farther away, but he was dry spraying it, and he would take that tack rag and smear it all over the place. Now, to what I know, that may or may not be the right way. A lot of people say no, but it seems it does work. What the problem is that you get poor adhesion when you dry spray. So I don't, you know, without being right next to the person watching them spray it, you can't figure out how exactly they're doing it from a video unless they tell you. And that was a long time ago, but I had watched that, and that was kind of how I learned how to do it. Yeah, that's dry spray a little bit up in there. But I'm not putting it on very heavy, so, you know, 3 minutes. And it's dry enough I can do this. I am terrible at blending silver. And I'll be the first to admit it. I haven't had a lot of practice with it. You can see the dry spray on the tack rag. And we really don't want dry spray, so we're picking that back up. I think we may be able to make that fly with one last application here. So let's get her done. Put you guys back over here. And then the next thing you see will be the Clearcoat vid. So without further ado, one thing I do when I'm blending color, since there's still a little in the gun, I'll purge it. So now we probably have some of that new color in there. Let's do it. What I'm going for is to not get any higher than that line, because a line will give you sort of a funky shadow anyway. So if I stay below that line with my overspray, we're good to go. It's just one more way to fool the eye. We'll see what that looks like when it flashes off, but I think that's going to be it. So I'll turn you guys off and back on when it's clear coat time. Alright guys, let's do a little real time here. This base is all flashed off, it's ready to go. It looks nice. again, a little bit of transparent color on that plastic there, not much. So I think we'll be okay. Got a little funky spot right down there, but not too bad. So let's mix up some clear. We're going to use a little cocktail of normal hardner and slow hardner there. Really don't want to do that. I'm probably going to end up with a run somewhere, but we'll see what happens. Everything's gone good so far, so watch me be a smart ass and run it. Feeling pretty good. Feel like the Iwata is going to do its job here. So we mixed 12 ounces of clear to do 2 door bottoms, both sides of the truck. So that's about equal to my panel size that I have right now. Plus I did a bunch of spray outs. So let's do that again and see where we're at. These 12 ounces will actually be a little more than that. We'll look at it though. I've had this clear sitting in a bucket of hot water, so it's pretty warm. My panel temperature is about 80 degrees at the top of the sail panel, and it's about 65 to 67 at the very lowest point. But the majority of my work is up high, so that's good. So this is the 30 clear. We're using it again. So we're just going to mix. Yeah, it might be a little tinge over 12 ounces. Yeah, let's not be greedy. Let's go a little bit over that. Mix up a little bit for the clear gods. Hopefully they'll be smiling on me here. So it's about 14 ounces. That's probably way too much, but you know. That's up to the 12 on the 4-to-1 scale. And this hardner too. It's about empty. So this is the normal hardner. Yep, right at the 12. So I didn't get us very far, but I don't want it to be too slow. I'd like it to flow out, but I shot that clear on the door bottoms of the Duramax with that Iwata with nothing but normal hardware in it. So hopefully I don't screw myself here. That's it. C'est fini. Slow in there. This is not the extra slow. This is more like a 80 to 90 degree probably type deal. about just make double sure that everything is cool. So the other thing I'm going to do here before we go too far is these guns have the air hole in the top of the cap. It's almost like there's a little reservoir down in there. I could be wrong. Make sure that sucker's clear. We don't need any feed issues with that. And we're going to go and we're going to spray it the same way we did the other day, maybe a little higher pressure. I really wish I had an ABS adapter. That thing was supposed to have one in the box, but I wasn't going to bitch. It's a demo. We're just giving her, just trying to figure out if we like this gun or not. So far, one job, I'm happy. This one, I'll probably put it on the concrete. So. All right, we're going to cut the heat mask up, and we're going to get after. All right, we're going to tack this off, and that means tacking the plastic too. We don't want any of this overspray crack coming up if we can avoid it. You know, tack a good couple feet away from where you're working. What really sucks is I got just a tiny, tiny breeze coming in from underneath my door, which is behind this van. And I don't like that kind. So, this stuff is stuck to the plastic real good. You don't want to push down on these or you'll leave a streak. The gummy stuff on these that picks up your dirt will actually transfer onto the panel. I went and bought more gun wash at lunchtime today, that XXX spray that I use, and I forgot to buy a shoot suit. I was going to buy one, and I forgot it. That's the last time we'll tack that off. We got her on the wet, so I'm gonna shut you guys down. We're gonna go back in the mixing room. That's at about 24 psi. That's really more overspray than I want. I might cut her down just a tinge and maybe move in a little bit on my panel. So we're gonna let that tack up and we'll be back in a minute. This is after about 5 minutes. It's still flowing, unfortunately. I haven't found any flow indicators, aka runs, but I'm checking it to see how tacky it is, and you guys have seen lots of guys do this. And I'm touching my tape, and if you pull off a spider web off of that, it's too wet. Don't put another coat on. Wet. Another 5 and it'll be good to go. That slow hardener was probably a mistake, but it's the only choice I had, so this is going to flow out a little more. That's as factory as I can make it with orange peel. We'll see what it looks like in conjunction with the door, but hopefully not too bad. I mean, that's pretty slick and it's still running. I wish I knew what the hell was in the paint up here, considering I didn't paint that. See those light spots? Not my fault. All I did was scuff that and clean it. And there's no paint anywhere near that area. So, who knows? I don't know if robots paint these or not, but I don't want to get too carried away because that's pretty close to the floor, so we know it's cold. That's stringing pretty bad yet. So, you know, put it on there like you want it to look. She got a little urethane wave to her, but it's not peely. So, I'll bring you back for coat 2, or when I'm crying because it's on the floor. Right up at the top of the window. The worst possible place. So that's what you get for being a smartass. At least that's what I get for being a smartass. The old roll around light close enough here. I knew I shouldn't have used that slow hardener, but it's all I had. It's about 22 pounds right there. heavy, so we'll try something a little different next time, maybe cut the pressure down. That's just a little bit more than I want to spray at, but I was trying to go on a recommendation, and that slow hardener wasn't a very good idea. But no harm, no foul. Shut you guys down and we'll look at it in about 15 minutes. Alright guys, grand finale here. This is it for today. It's getting to be about 7 o'clock, I think. Shit, it's 7:30. So, I'll let you look down the side of that. Maybe it's better to look at it head on. That's probably got just about the right amount of peel in it. There's a fine line between slick and on the floor, so the problem with this having, you know, about the same amount of peel is I didn't sand any of the heavy peel out of that clear that was already there. I just scuffed everything. So of course it's compounded a little bit, but it's acceptable. And as far as trash, I see a little speckaroony right there. Nothing bad though. We're out of dust. Yeah, I couldn't have put that damn run in a worse spot. But that one's going to be easier to get than that sucker right there. But no other runs. I just put those two in the top. It was probably from double passing that stupid sail panel because I didn't think it was slick enough. But I'm happy with that. I can tweak that gun and get that gun to do what I want it to, especially when it's not so darn cold out. I'm not making excuses either. I tried a different pressure tonight than I used the other day, so definitely need to adjust my technique a little bit, but not bad. Not bad at all. What I was really expecting to see is a puddle coming off of that corner there, but we don't have one. That's hand sticky, so it's, I don't want to say it's done flowing, but it's pretty much, that's it. That's it and that's that. So the gun's clean. I'm gonna go home and take my wife to dinner, and you know, celebrate one more victory of not running out of clear. She's up to the 1 in that cup. There's 1 ounce in there. That's it.
So that's it, guys. I'll get this uploaded for you. There's 20 minutes of video left on my camera, and there was a 20-minute video on there, so there's 40 minutes total video left on this camera. It holds 2 hours and 10 minutes. The rest is for you. Later.